This is a simple JavaScript program that lets you enter a number and tells you whether the number is even or odd. And if you don't enter a number at all, it prompts you to enter a number. And if what you enter is not a number, it prompts you that whatever you've entered is not a number. In this video, we're going to learn how to build this simple program with just vanilla JavaScript. So hit the subscribe button and let's go into the video. So in the HTML document, we'll have this code that is pre-written. This is not the point of the video, so it's already written. But if you want me to go through the code in details, you can leave a comment below telling me to go through it. I'll do another video explaining how to build this box. In the head section of the HTML documents, we'll have the title, which is odd even program, and then a link to the CSS style sheet. And inside the body element, we'll have this div with a class of box. That will be the containing div for the box we have over here. And inside the box, you have an h1 element with an ID of output. And this inner text over here has been hidden for now. It will be hidden in the CSS file. We'll set the opacity to 0 so that it will be hidden initially. And then you have the label with an inner text of enter the number below. And then you have an input with a type attribute of text, a text field, and an ID of input, where you enter your number, you enter anything so that we can submit. And then we have the button. Lastly, we have the button with an ID of sub button for submitting anything we have in the input field. And then we have a script tag that links to the JavaScript file. And that's all the markup. So in the CSS file, we have some declarations and styles for the elements in the HTML document. We can also see that the h1 element has its opacity set initially to 0 so that the text won't appear. And after something happens, we can set the opacity back to 1 in the JavaScript file. And we have the remaining styles for the label, the input, and the submit button. And that's all for the styling of our HTML documents. Now let's add some functionality to this static box. So in the HTML file, you get the elements that we need in the JavaScript file, which are the h1 elements. We get the IDs of the h1 elements, the input, and the submit button. So access them in the JavaScript file. So with const output equals the document dot, we get the elements by the ID name. And the ID name of the first element is output. And then we copy and paste it and do same for the input and then the submit button. Now with my submit button, when it is clicked, we add an event to it. So with the add event listener, and the event is when we click on it, we'll execute a function. Next, we create an input value variable. And with my input, the value of the input field, when we trim it, we set it or assign it to the input value variable. Now, if the input value is strictly equal to an empty string, that is, if we do not enter anything in the input field, we update the text content of the output, which is the h1 element. We update the text content to enter a number. And we change the opacity of the h1 element to 1. And then we return the function to stop it. And that's the first thing we want to do. Now, what if we enter something this time? So we create another variable, the num, and then we typecast it into a number. We change the type to a number by placing it inside the number type converter. So if the number is not a number, we check to see if it is not a number. So if it is not a number, we update the text content of the H1 element to the input value is not a number. And then we change the opacity or set the opacity this time to 1 again, so that the content in the H1 element can appear, just as you see over here. So let's try and enter a different number or something that is not a number. You can see that AAA is not a number. Now what if the number is even? So else if the num, and we check the modulus 2, so we divide the number by 2, and if that result is strictly equal to 0, then that means the number is even. So we update the text content of the output or the H1 element to the input value is even. And else, the else will be for the last option. That means the number is odd. We update the text content to the input value is odd. Now let's try and see if this program works. So we enter 2 first, and 2 is even, and 3 is odd. So yeah, that's how to create a simple JavaScript odd or even number program that verifies if a number entered is even or odd. If you do not enter any number, it will prompt you to enter a number. And if you enter something that is not a number, it will prompt you that what you've entered is not a number. If you enter an even number, it will prompt you that the number is even. And if you enter an odd number, it will prompt you that the number is odd. So I hope this video helped you out. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our uploads, and see you in my next video. Thank you.